Live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. This is your motivational, sensational, inspirational, educational, keenly awaited, highly anticipated edition of the afternoon swing trading floor with your host, Jeremy Alexander, with another daily dose of mental delicious brain food reminding you to love life, live life, and trade it. What's going on, boys and girls from around the world? Hope you're doing simply sensational. It's Friday. No, it's not. It's Thursday, but it feels like Friday because the markets are closed tomorrow, which actually is Friday. So today is Transportation Thursday. Markets are closed. Markets reopen on Monday, so I hope everyone has some fantastic weekend plans with your friends and family. And, if you're not in the United States and the markets aren't closed where you're at, that's okay, but, enjoy the day off. So we got the SPY. It is Finance Friday. I think it's time to remove the red line. And now we're going with either blue or pink. So I was going to post. I'm going to go and I think I drew this, if I'm not mistaken. I'll verify that in a little bit. But we did have an interesting gap this morning with a few things to look at, but got a few stocks, a few things to review. Questions to answer, getting ready for Mentorship Monday, which is going to be this Monday. And I got some housekeeping stuff to give you guys some really cool, exciting info. So let me hop over here. And I'm just going to update this chart. So this is back on the 23rd. Wow. I need to start posting more charts. Haven't been posting that many. All right, so loading this up. That was really the 23rd. Okay, well, so at this point looks to be either blue or pink. So blue or pink, meaning if we do pull back, it'll just be a little bit more shallow. So I'm taking off the red. We'll leave it on here for a little while longer. But at this particular point in time, what is interesting, if I do hide all of my drawings, here's kind of what we had. So we have something like this now forming. We got another triangle pattern out there. And again, which way does that break, right? Who knows? It could break any direction, bullish or bearish. I have no idea, but that's there. So what I did this morning / today is you'll notice that the SPY came down to the 200 simple. We were talking about that yesterday. And I mentioned that an inside day candle or a bearish day made more sense. And if we were going to go bullish, it would be really shocking and surprising to a lot of people. So if you went bullish, as I was talking yesterday, if we go bullish, make sure to take that. So here was the kind of the triangle pattern that we had on the 15-minute chart. That's what this is. And so you had a gap up this morning, pretty decent gap. We traded down, and right about here is when I bought some calls, posted that in Slack, and I was more or less like, hey guys, buying some calls. Doesn't look like the Qs are going to go lower. Doesn't look like the market's going to go a little lower, at least not yet. So we might as well have both of them open just in case. One of them's got to work. So that was pretty much my post from earlier this morning on the SPY. So those options, those are the 261 regular May. We might gap up Monday, and we probably will. My plan is going to be this for those who have those. If you bought SPY calls today and Monday markets gap up, I'll look to sell and buy on another dip. The reason I'm saying that is because, unless, of course, we have a very, very nice gap, which would mean above 266.63. 266.60. If we gap up, let's just call it 267. We gap above there, we're off to the races. But until that time occurs, should be fine. So again, 200 still holding up, doing its thing on the SPY. We'll note that the Qs, which did end a very strong day, and we did get stopped out of the weekly options newsletter on the Qs today at 3. So I mentioned everyone to exit at 3:20 in Slack. I posted a quick message. So it did get below $5 again at one point early this morning and also yesterday afternoon. It did break below the 100. We did have a massive candle. There's just so much volatility going on there. Again, it's really hard to swing trade. And as mentioned, if you have any if there's some profits out there and the trade's not moving the way you want it to, or if it does move quickly and you just feel like you need to take a profit in this market, it's probably not a bad thing. So if you see some green, take it, lock it in, move on, and move on to the next day. And let that cash be settled overnight, because with the gaps, the way they're going to be probably for the next few weeks to months, I could see us easily, just having these kind of whipsaws that we're going to have. Now, the exciting part about this move, though, is if we do this and we come down, I mean, this is a one white soldier candle. We did have a bearish candle yesterday. And so, again, just depending on what the markets look like, you're going to get some crazy gaps, I'm sure, on Monday. Gap down, gap up. I don't know which one. Obviously, it could be just an inside day candle where we do nothing, but I'm pretty certain we're going to gap Monday morning. We closed above the high of that black candle, the bearish candle from yesterday. That looks a little bit more bullish to me. So I could see some bulls. So again, just like I mentioned yesterday, the bulls, if they're going to come in, it makes the least amount of sense as far as just wave count is concerned, but that's whatever. But if we're going to go bullish, cool. We're at a low spot, buy low, sell high. Sounds fine. Why not? Here's the IWM. And the IWM, got a good gap on the IWM, but it also trades to the 100 simple moving average. And here's the FAS, which is the financial ETF. And the FAS also has, again, if you go to like an hourly or a 15-minute chart, you'll see the double bottom or channel thing, however you want to play it, forming. So we got this going on. And again, we could trade back down, and if we trade back down, we've established some support. So people would probably be looking to go bullish down there again. And we trade back up here, right? That'd be the place to sell. And again, this is very similar to the markets, right? FAS, just the financial ETF, just moves a little faster. If it does break out and retest and continue higher, I mean, this does look like a legit double bottom. And, we are off, we're at the 200. So we're at the spot for it to bounce. The big question will just simply be, do we? And with this volatility, my guess is yes, still. But after the last 2 or 3 days, I mean, who knows? There you go. I'm still going to be focusing a lot on day trading, a lot on option selling. And if I see a day trade, I'll take it. If I see a swing trade, if it looks fantastic, and if it's doing something different than the markets, then I will try it. But if it's not doing something different than the markets, I don't want to be in too many market-related swing trades at once, unless, of course, they're longer-term stuff, like, the Apples and Square, all that kind of good stuff. That's just going to do what it's going to do. And we will look at Apple a little bit later today as well. Here's the list of stocks. Before we dive into those, just some real quick housekeeping, some fun, exciting things to pull up. So I'm just going to pull up my calendar. I did post on my personal Facebook that I accepted a new position. But I didn't accept the new position. I created it. So I had some people asking if I was going to be leaving real life trading. No, not even close. So I just created another company. This is a hedge fund that a lot of you guys have been talking about. You guys have all heard the rumor. I've been working on creating a hedge fund for a while now, and it's in the process. It launched as of 4 days ago or a week ago, something like that. So it's a fully launched hedge fund. We are going to be specializing initially, at least fund one, in digital assets, right? Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all that good stuff. And hopefully in the near future, year or two down the road being near future for me, I will move into equities, hopefully, and options. But I just want to make sure everyone's fully aware that I'm not going anywhere. Real life trading is my baby. We're here together to enrich tons of lives, and that's just an entirely separate thing. So we are, and I am finally, for the first time in my life, legally allowed to trade other people's money. So yeah, that's super exciting. That's really cool. So that happened. That is now a thing. And again, as far as equity hedge funds are concerned, options and stocks, that'll come down to a time. And then fully, one day, my dream will be realized, where I create a trading education company. And then I create a trading company, and then I can hire internally from the people who are profitably trading. I had a vision, guys, right? teach a bunch of people how to trade, and then they make money, and then you go raise a bunch of money and then help them trade that money and then pay them and just create a giant circle of awesomeness, right? With some other stuff over here like real estate and other, just businesses and things of that nature. So if you guys are profitably trading, keep it up. I know who you are. I'm watching you. I'm keeping you guys in my sights, and who knows what that looks like, right? About hiring people. That's in the future. It's not right now. It's not needed, but it's going to. That's kind of my mission. If we get big enough and grow big enough, fantastic stuff, right? So anyway, that's one housekeeping thing. I figured we would end the month with a big note. Second housekeeping thing, tonight is a big night. We have the kids webinar tonight for young adults and children from around the world. I sent out that link the last 2 or 3 days. That's going to be tonight at 7:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. It's called How to Become Independently Wealthy with Social Media. And I'm going to pretty much teach kids how to effectively use social media to their benefit rather than just being a giant time waste. So that'll be tonight. Let me get that calendar pulled up. Where'd that calendar go? So this is the information you guys are also probably going to be pretty excited about. The Real Life Trading Meetup in Miami is April 21st. April 21st. RLT in Miami. I was trying to do it over the calendar, but I don't think that's going to look good. So if there's anyone in the Florida area or near Miami, April 21st, I'm going to be there. My boy Javier, right, Javier? Me and Javier and Marina and the friends, we're going to be chilling. Details coming out on that soon as far as the exact place and time, but it will be the 21st, which is right around the corner. Javier's really pumped about that. So that'll be cool. And then my girl, Francois, Montreal, RLT meetup, May 4th. So Real Life Trading's going to be in Montreal. So for my Canadians, neighbors to the north, if you're in the far east part, Toronto or Montreal or North New York, if you want to hang out, we're going to send some details for that very, very soon. In between those two things, so again, just more housekeeping stuff, letting you guys know what's going on. April 13th, I have another back trading webinar for the Wealth 365. This entire week is going to be the Wealth 365 Summit. And on Friday, I'm going to be doing an hour back trading session. And then I'm going to be promoting a really big, the marathon back trading session on the 14th of the month. You guys will be getting links and all that soon. That is going to be a paid premium event. It's only going to be like $30, but and all proceeds are going to charity. There's a local charity here in Nashville. It's called The Cookery, which takes and helps homeless men and women off the street. They teach them how to cook and be in the give them jobs and give them in the restaurant industry, and then they shelter them and take care of them for 6 to 8 months at a time, and then they give them the skills they need to go out to the working world. So it's a really great project. So all proceeds, every dime is going to go to that company for the 14th. So I'm going to make that, but it's going to be a really cool thing too, because remember, I used to do that 7 hours a day, every day for 7 months. So that's going to be a back trading. It will be recorded, but it's only going to be for the people who help me donate some money. And, like all marathons, right? Most marathons, you go to St. Jude's or March of Dimes. Most marathons, they have some type of cause. So instead of running, we're going to be running with our mind. So those are the two big things coming up in April, to my knowledge. And then the only other thing I'm going to bombard you with, guys, for right now is June. I don't know the exact dates yet. I'm getting pretty close, but either Tuesday or Thursday, San Diego. So we're going to be in San Diego. Ashley's never been over to the West Coast. So either the 12th or the 13th of June for my traders over there in San Diego or the West Coast area. We're going to have an RLT meetup on one of those 2 days. So just throwing that out there. I know there's like 7 of you who live in San Diego or near San Diego. So that'll be in June. And that's the only thing I have really planned up until June. I don't really know what July or August looks like. I have some plans for September. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I'm sorry that I missed the other thing. the other housekeeping. I know, a lot of stuff, tons of things on the agenda. This week, I'm gone, and Brad will be here in the afternoon every day because I'll be on the cruise with a bunch of traders, drinking Mai Tais. It's going to be exciting. Jill says, what about your 30th birthday? That's true. I forgot that. That is coming up. You're right, Jill. May 2nd. So I'm gonna be with some of my favorite people in the world. Ashley and my good buddy Roberto and his wife Sarah and my good buddy Aubrey who live in New York City. May the 2nd, I'm gonna be in Canada celebrating. So that's gonna be the 2nd. So yeah, that'll be pretty fun. My buddy Frank says, any plan to visit the Washington, D.C. area? I like Baltimore a lot. I don't know, and Baltimore's not super close to D.C., but it's about an hour or so away. I don't have any plans yet, but I can put that on the list. I will be in Houston. Shoot, I keep thinking of all the things. I should have written this out in advance. I'm sorry. This is all from memory. So this is how my brain works, and I apologize. This week, I'm going to be in Houston all week. I don't know the exact time for the Houston meetup yet, but if there's anyone in the Houston area, Houston, Texas, I'm going to be busting up in that city, and we're going to be having a good old time. So that's what I got. That's the list. Okay. Whew. Nice. Let's go through this list really quick. And Lulu is looking real different than the broad markets right now with that gap and go. And so we're going to create a pullback on Lulu right here to make it $88 even. Why not? 88 bucks. So it's a gap and go. That's just the high of yesterday is the only reason, and the stop pretty much right in the gap. So how exciting would that be for April to actually have some profitable swing trades? That'd be pretty crazy. But going to allow for that to pull back and make sure that's the right worksheet. Yep. So 3/29, 2018, LU 58 on the pullback, and the stop at 88 on the pullback, 82. A lot of eights. I'm gonna have to read that order aloud like 5 times to make sure I'm doing it right. Shares, and I think it's a good trade setup based off of a perfect gap and go open because it's not triggered yet. Gonna throw that one in there. So that's Lulu, newest swing trade. Let me put that into Slack. New swing trade on Lulu. Perfect. All right, next on the list we have TWLO. So there's been a lot of people watching this one. Here's the daily chart and exponential moving averages. Nice looking trends. So here's the weekly. What's interesting about Twilio is it does appear that it broke out of a accumulation pattern, or I should say an accumulation pattern. So let's see if this thing pulls back to the $35 price range, which is about another 10% pullback. It might not quite get there. This is a good pennant pattern though. And I'd like to see this break out or break down in one direction or another. So if I'm looking at TWLO, let's put it on the list for next week. I don't have any plans on it personally. I don't have any positions on it personally. But if you were looking at going bullish on this particular stock and you're trying to figure out a good time, this could be one that you could kind of leg into, right? Maybe do a third of an R up here, a third of an R right there, and a third of an R right there, with a stop down here like 31. So you leg into it as it's pulling back, still risking your R, however you want to approach it, and kind of take it from that direction. So that's TWLO. Next on the list is Tesla. Tesla had a weird day today. So here's the long-term moving averages. So I'm glad it popped for some traders, a little bit at least, because it was looking pretty bleak at one point in the morning. So it does appear that the 200 symbol is going to do its best to hold off of it. Java, I hope you absolutely just nailed this thing today, my friend, because 3 or 4 days ago he was mentioning he was going to, there was confluence at the 250 area, and that's where he was going to go long on this pullback. So really good move into the 200. Your analysis worked out perfect. So it's at 266.13. I mean, that's 16 points on Tesla. So I'm still thinking that this looks to me like a pullback. There was a lot of people messaging me on Twitter saying that Tesla's at the end of the world, which is usually a pretty good sentiment. If everyone thinks something is dying, then it's usually not. But for my traders with put sales, and again, I got the bull put spread, which is just at this point, it's as red as it can get. This is the price where we know something's up. Bearish. So let's go bearish end of day. Something is up. ... with Tesla. Or should I say down? Something is up with Tesla, something is down with Tesla. If we close below that price, it's over. Now, in between now and then, this is a retest gap. We're at a strong level. I could see it doing something like this, this, and this. My biggest question, of course, is when will when will it retest and how far? So if it does something like this and like this and like this, if that closes right there, my spread, I'm gonna lose my margin on this, which is fine. But that was, I mean, that's my risk I was willing to take. I understand that. I don't want that to be the case, but if it happens, it's okay. If I need to close it out at some point, maybe if it retests, I close out the 285 short put, hold on to the 280 long put as it rolls over, sell the 280 long put, and then make some money. That's probably going to be what I'm going to do. It's just going to be all about the timing of that. So I'll keep you posted on when I do that. Here's the support right there. You'll notice Mr. Squiggles is getting up into that retest zone. So we trade back into that 293-ish price range. The spread at that point will be out of the water. I'll still be red on it. I will likely buy to close, or at least watch the candles to buy to close the 285 short put, hang on to the 280 put, as we likely will roll over some. And when I do an unravel, as we'll talk about on Google in a little bit later, as soon as I'm profitable, I will exit. So with an unravel, I really, unless the stock just is gapping and moving deliriously well, I will get out as soon as I'm even at the smallest profit, especially if it's the next day, and just kind of approach it from there. So anyway, we'll see what happens on Tesla. Mila wants to bracket that candle. Yep, I think you can bracket this candle. Here's the hourly chart. And realistically, I do think this goes a little bit higher. So what would be very nice is if this is the lowest that Tesla goes for a lot of you who, maybe this is when the bears of the bears of the bears were here, right? The bearish of the bearish. People, hedge funds is going to go bankrupt. Everyone's crying. We're bleeding. We're losing money. That was the blood in the streets. So if Tesla does start to bounce, crazy enough, this is probably where it's going to be. And again, Java, you nailed that analysis, man, 4 or 5 days ago. So congrats. If you're going bullish down here, this is probably a decent spot. Robert, timing that put sale like a pro, sold it at 150 either yesterday or this morning, which is 100 points cheaper than it is now. So, I mean, if Tesla gets to 150 by April, it probably is going bankrupt. If it can get that low in three more weeks. So anyway, that's Tesla. Again, very much underwater on that spread. Cheryl, you were talking about another spread on this one. I would probably look for a bull put spread, a second one, because you were mentioning with this iron condor, obviously this bear call spread is going to expire worthless in 3 weeks. But I wouldn't get into another one, as this is a place where it probably is going to bounce. So if you're looking at getting into an additional spread to kind of counteract the loss that's occurring on this one, Cheryl, I'd probably go down here, 220 or something, same expiration date, or maybe even longer, and do a bull put spread. And then, of course, as I said on Facebook, folks, per the candles and all the sentiment and all the support, we should not close below 247. And if we do, Tesla's going to get wrecked. So Neil says Elon might find some change on the couch to save it. It's possible. He will certainly pull out a rabbit out of a hat if Tesla starts getting shredded. We can all pretty much guarantee that. Southwest Airlines up 1.83%. Pretty decent gap. Again, kind of expecting that gap to fill, and I love that weekly chart. That's a pretty nice weekly. So I'm thinking we're going to do something like this, and as horrible as March was for my swing trades, and I do mean terrible, I mean despondently bad. The worst swing trade month I've probably had since August of 2015. This likely will be a good time to take advantage of swing trades coming up. In the market, I don't know how the market knows. I can theorize on this for hours. But the market knows when everyone is feeling like it's the easiest thing in the world, right? And everyone wants to just pile in, like right here, the market changes cycles. People start getting they start trading and they start losing money, right? It's like right when you start getting comfortable, right when you think, I got this, right when you increase your R, right when you start swing trading, whatever it is, right when you make that next move. You haven't been trading, you've been paper trading and virtual trading for 6 months, you've been making money, everyone's excited about it. You finally, as soon as you put your toe in the water, boom, the whole market changes. Why is that? I mean, we could theorize on that for a while, but what it is it's all sentiment. If you feel that way, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of other people that feel that way. So the crazy part is there were definitely some traders who quit in March. All right, getting an email, getting some resignation letters from some real life trading saying, "Guys, this is just too hard. It's too tough for me." And the randomly crazy part about that is this is probably when it's going to start getting easier. And I'm not saying on all stocks. I'm just saying kind of on Southwest and in general. If we do start trading, the cycle of the market has certainly changed for the next few months, no question. But what I'm getting at is right when it's the absolute toughest time in the market, you normally get a very, very, very easy move. I mean, like this or like this or like this. And the traders who give up normally give up here or here or here or here or here. And then they just, kind of throw in the towel. So success, one of my favorite quotes is success is 2 weeks after you feel like giving up, right? So I like Southwest. I like the candle today. It's up 1.83%. It's a nice little one white soldier. We'll see if it bounces, but I really do like this weekly candle. And if we do at some point get a close above 58 and start making higher highs, I think that one is going to kind of continue higher. Here's Delta. Also traded right to the 100 simple moving average and is trying to bounce on Delta. Now, granted, earnings is in about 2 weeks. So it's at the 200. Like most airlines, it could easily bounce, but we already can see easily if Delta were to gap down and open below here or below this pivot at any point, but especially on earnings, if it does gap down there, we can imagine that there's going to be some bulls who are trapped, and it likely would continue just a little bit lower. So that's my only thought on Delta. I don't have any position on that one, but we'll see. All righty. Next on the list, we have American Airlines. American Airlines. So American Airlines, here's the daily chart, and that is a very pretty morning star reversal on American Airlines. That is nice. So here's the hourly chart. It looks to me like we got a nice little black candle. It looks a little different than the market, but not tons. So for those of you who are looking at playing Delta American, this is a pretty far stop, I would imagine. I mean, it's about $2, $3. If you want to make it a little bit tighter, what I would say for those who trade American pretty often is if you get an inside day candle on Monday, even better. You can increase that stop a little bit and kind of pop. And that'd be a quick trade because earnings are around the corner. So that would be one that you'd likely be in just a few days. But I'm interested to see if it happens. More inside, smaller candle on Monday would be nice. Also, the market could gap in any direction on Monday. And if it gaps really strong, So for example, if we get a good gap up on Monday, or a really good gap, or a really good gap down on Monday, I could see people trapped in any direction. I could see bears trapped if we gap up hard. Right? If the bulls gap up to here, I could see us running. If we gap down below the low of today, I could see us running. We'll see how we gap. I expect some kind of gap on Monday morning. So make sure you get a lot of rest over the weekend. Boeing. So Boeing bounced off the 100 like a pro. I didn't play that bounce. Just too many stocks to trade, but I'm sure one of you out there did. First time Boeing has hit the 100 simple in a long time. And talk about a strong trend. I mean, you knew it would bounce off there a little bit. Also, the high of Boeing, 323.24, and the open was 323.38. So it almost gapped above the high. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. It did open above the high today by just a few pennies. I know that gaps are really exciting to day trade, but this gap right here is fantastic. Now, I did not day trade this gap, but I can see it. I can spot it. I can recognize the opportunity. And that means that at some point I will be able to trade it. But on Boeing, that's a very pretty bullish gap and go. Here's the 5-minute chart. And it would have been a little bit hard to play, maybe. But this is the first 5-minute candle. I mean, I'd have a hard time not having an entry there with a stop right there. And depends on what would have happened right here. I think the only way I might have moved my stop up to there and gotten stopped out, which would have been really painful. But if I didn't, the only way this one would have worked really nicely is if I got into the trade, walked away for about an hour and came back. So here's the support resistance line, and that's really where we traded into. So anyway, Boeing was a good gap. It depends on when you caught it, but it doesn't have to be a huge gap, right, to be effective. Just if it's a bearish candle, bullish candle, we just barely gap above the high or the low. This pattern here looks like a bigger version of what we're getting here. So, we could see some type of follow through. So there's going to be a lot of gaps, I think, after today, after March being a battleground. I'd like to see April make it a little bit easier for us for some short trades. I think the opportunities here is just, can you handle the endurance? Can you endure? YY pulled back. Let me go look at this on a weekly chart. Wow, this is a volatile stock. Jeepers creepers. Look how volatile this thing is. It went from $40 to $140 in a year and some change. Man. Daily charts. Yeah, this looks pretty similar. I mean, this thing got shredded when it broke below here. There was nothing really holding it up. Today's an inside day candle, kind of near the 200. We didn't quite get there. So if you're looking at playing YY, it did trade down to a support. Similar to the market, though. It's going to either gap up or gap down probably on Monday. Here's the hourly charts. And if you're looking at playing the hourly, my preference would be, it looks like a 1, 2, 3 trade to resistance. I would like some kind of pullback and a little bit of a bounce. If you're looking to get in, maybe 102 with a stop at 96. But this is a volatile stock, so just make sure to buy it as low as you can. All right, BABA, B-A-B-A, doing absolutely nothing. The crazy part, too, about BABA is we've done some spreads on this one before and some put sales or whatever. I'm thinking about doing one for May, like a 150, 145. And it could probably, you could almost get 10% for that. 150, 145. 150 you could certainly buy for $1 or sell for $1.35, and this one you'd be able to get 90 cents. So we're close. We're close to 50 cents, which would be a 10% return, which isn't terrible, but that's pretty far away on BABA. So I still like BABA bullish. I still think it's going to go higher. Remember, the crazy part is this is quarter one's over. Now we're in quarter two. All right, quarter two begins with April, I believe, for most stocks, most companies. So that being the case, I mean, late Q2 target means June could still happen. So the buy low, sell high spot, one white soldier candle. If you're in shares, it's just a longer term thing. If you're in a longer term call, great. I think it's going to keep trading bullish to sideways, but that is really a very pretty chart on Bob. The longer we trade sideways, I think it looks even nicer. And if we do break lower, which is possible, right? If the whole market just starts going poo and we break below 176, I mean, it would trade down to 165, and that would probably be your buying opportunity for those who aren't in, or whatever time frame you're playing. But we'll see. We will see. Amazon. So I did lose an R, almost an R, 0.93 R's on Amazon today. So today I actually broke even, more or less. I think I made $42, but that's pretty much break even. It's not even 0.1 R. It's almost 0.1 R. 0.1. So I pretty much broke even today. Took a bullish trade on Square and a bearish trade on Amazon. The reason I took the bearish trade on Amazon, it was really kind of my market maker, my market indicator, I should say, to figure out if the market was going to roll later this afternoon or not. So Ash has got to at 1402. Nice. Right on. 2 shares or 2,000 shares? 2,000 shares. Okay, cool. Ash is loading up. So Amazon, trading down to a nice little support at 1402. We actually didn't even hit the 100 today. And this was a pretty nice gap this morning. So here's the 5-minute, and I'll just share with you what I did. I could have gone bullish today, but on Amazon, I could have flipped, but I didn't. It was the end of the month, and I didn't want to give any more back because it's already been so brutal. But here's what I was looking at this morning. Traded down, traded higher, evening star reversal. Once this candle formed, I did have a trade. Entry was right below it, and stop was right there. That was my setup. So obviously I canceled that setup right here, and then all of you can probably see where I got triggered in bearish. I had an afternoon setup right there just to see if this was going to happen. And when that didn't happen, which has been happening for the last few days, that happened, a big afternoon surge. I could have flipped because I knew that there was a lot of bears trapped. Again, that just wasn't my plan. I need to get better at flipping. I needed to sit down and work on that for about 70 hours, but it's just not my specialty. Anyway, could have flipped, should have gone bullish. Only lost an R though, and I feel good about that because me 9 years ago would have held through all of this, and I would have sold right here for a crazy, crazy loss. So I like my discipline. I'm happy about that. So anyway, Amazon didn't roll over. It was one of the weaker stocks of the day. This is still a retest gap, but I do think, you ready for Mr. Squiggles? Here we go. I do think this is going to happen on Amazon. That makes a lot of sense to me. Mila says, would you share your flipping training, please? I will once I get better at it. I'll let you guys know. I mean, pretty much I'm just going to practice flipping. I'm going to go and back trade it. Set up a plan and go, okay, let's see if this plan works. And that's really the only thing you can do, right? So if I'm bearish on something, I'll practice flipping. I'll take a bunch of notes. Did it work? Did it not work? If it did work, why did it work? What did I look at? How many times did it work? Am I good at it? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking on Amazon. That makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not saying Amazon's going to go to zero. I'm just saying it's going to create a distribution phase up here because the market is, and Amazon's not. I mean, Amazon's making higher highs and higher lows. Could I be wrong on that? Yes. Am I? Let's make a bet. I haven't made a bet in a while. I'm betting that Amazon hits the 100 simple before earnings. It's kind of an outlandish bet, but I need to make a bet. It's been a while. What's the wager, guys? What happens? I need to put my money where my mouth, something other than my money where my mouth is. I have a bet with Efren on Tesla, which I'm going to win, and I have a bet with Richard on Apple, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to win, but there's a lot of time left for both of those. So I have until pretty much my 30th birthday, so on earnings, before earnings. John says, who's brave enough to take the bet? Oh, no, this is a good question. This is a win-win for you guys. either I'm right and we make money trading it, or I'm wrong and the punishment falls entirely on me. It's just totally my. It's got to be some type of something horribly funny or bad, or something that you guys get to poke fun at me for. Todd says we don't want to see you cry. No, I won't cry. Jill says take Ashley out for a very nice date. I could do that, but that wouldn't. I mean, that won't bring you guys any happiness, because that's going to occur for sure. Richard says winter earnings late April. April 26th. Don says you could sing. I could. I did that once for Snapchat. I do have a video on that. So I got that down. It was real bad too. Don, you haven't seen my of course it's Get a Wax. You haven't seen my waxing video? Let's see. Jeremy, Snapchat wager. I don't know what's going to come up. Real life trading. Okay, so I have this one and I have this one. Feel free to go check out both of those, Don. I'm warning you, neither one are good. But hey, I make my bets and I follow through. Mark says, if you lose, take Ashley to video you at karaoke. Deal. So, a little bit of background, some history. All right, so those are the two videos. Those are pretty rough. All right, that it is done. Newest wager. Newest wager on Amazon. It's been a while since I've made a bet. I got one on Amazon. Amazon will hit, touch, interact with the blue 100 SMA on my chart before earnings release. If it doesn't, I'm just going to write down what Mark said. Per Mark, done. Okay, Richard thinks I'm right. We will see. Now, for future references, ladies and gentlemen, you are always welcome to come up with some other kind of bets for me. I'm willing to take just about anything. I've done some bad ones. So if you ever get a great idea like, oh, that would be fun, human torture, from my good buddy Jeremy, write it down in the next wager I do. Or if you ever want to just say, hey, I bet you this is going to happen, let me know. Corey says cake smash. Ooh, that's a good one. Write that one down for me, man, for the next one. Jot that one down so next time I say something, you're ready. Cake smash would be a good one, which I think I know what that is, but I'm not entirely sure. Smashing cake into someone's face. Eating 5 pounds of peanut M&Ms. Wow, that would be tough. Sounds fun, though. All right, that's my thoughts on Amazon. So here's SNDR. SNDR, Richard says, wax the chest and legs. I can do the legs. I've already done the chest, though. I'll post that again in the chat pane if you want to check that out, Richard. It's just pure. It's actually pure enjoyment for a lot of people. Are we talking trading? Yes. All right. Schneider National off the 200. So I got a buddy who works for Schneider. I got another trader who requests this one pretty often, and he was asking where he should pick up some shares or two, and I mentioned the 200. That's his long term. He works for him, so he's just trying to hold. Oh yeah. So SNDR, Schneider National. That off the 200 looks nice if you're in long term. I think keep holding it. So here's Google, GOOGL, and this one, man, Google almost murdered me, but came out alive. So Google had a crazy, crazy day. So I was posting this one, put it on Slack, put it in the chat pane or on the worksheet. So here's pretty much what happened on Google. Let me kind of just hide all the lines. I'm gonna draw and everything for a second. So you guys all know that I had the bull put spread out of support. Again, the crazy part is this bull put spread probably will end up working. They usually do if I just leave them alone. But my plan was, I had to follow my plan. If this candle, that hammer candle right there, so that big white candle, my plan was if we close below that candle with 8 days left, I'm gonna unravel. So on that, the close of that day, I bought back the 1020 short put for $4,100 per contract. So that was the 1020. So it was deep in the money at that point. But as you guys know, Google just does crazy, crazy stuff. So as it got down the next morning, which I was very excited to see. Now the bid-ask spreads on these options at this time are like $6. They're really large. So when Google made a new low, right around 990, I believe, the low of this was 984. So about 990, the 1015 long put was worth, so the bid-ask spread went from, it was 47 to 52 and some change, 52 like 80. So I did a limit sell at 50 and pretty much just hung my finger over there watching it on the 5-minute chart right around 50, and it started ticking up. So I'm gonna come over here to the 5-minute chart. So again, that's when the market was pretty bearish at one point yesterday, and we were up on our options. So right here, right there, when that tweezer bottom came in on the 5-minute, so this was a tweezer bottom too. So I had 10 minutes to react to this. That tweezer bottom comes in. The low, the exact same low, 984, 984. So crazy tweezer bottom. I could have sold here at market and gotten like 53 for that option. As again, once that tweezer bottom come in, I started, I'll admit, I started panicking a little bit. And when that wick starts coming in, and right here, I pretty much just auto exited at market and got filled at 50 per contract, $5,000 a contract. So talking about just by the skin of my teeth. Now, again, pretty much all throughout here, I could have exited for around 41, 43 per contract, which would have made a small loss, break even. It wouldn't have been terrible for most of the day on that particular option. But anyway, so the Google unravel, rough. But now you got a morning star. It's happened. It was out of support. You know, it didn't close below that support per se. In fact, you got a high wave candle yesterday, and then you got this candle. So Google probably does bounce here. Yeah, it was wild, Robert. It was a wild ride. Now Disney, DIS, got like 5 points away from it just yesterday. So here's the 5-minute chart. So anytime I do a close to make sure that I don't have to be by the computer, it's after 3:45 p.m. Eastern, right? 3:45 p.m. Eastern. So anytime I do a close, if I say I need this to close or that to close, I do 3:45. So that way, in case I can't be by the computer or I don't know what's happening or there's too many things going on at once, it just automatically does it for me. So when I saw Disney diving, I was like, all right, looks like I'm gonna buy to close this, and I'm gonna have to unravel to that and Google. So the last 15 minutes, it did not close below. That particular price at 98.29. So what I'm going to do now, we had a good day on that spread. So I'm now going to drop it to 97.84, and I will mention I will look to exit or unravel with a close below here. Okay, and I'm gonna put that on the trade that we did on Disney. Because again, that's the thing with spreads, is when you do trade spreads, I know this is wild, I know it takes a lot of practice. If you've done your analysis right, they usually work, believe it or not. I mean, I've only lost on a few of them, even if I just hold all the way until expiration, which was pretty much my plan from the get-go on Tesla. And we'll still see. Usually if you just leave them alone, they'll oftentimes work out for you. But here's March 20th. And Jill, no worries at all. JL says, you usually take market orders on options, question mark. I've been hurt by that before. So, I mean, I was sitting there watching it. If I'm sitting there watching it, I need to exit very quickly. I'll do market, but the spreads on those are gnarly. So yes, it is a very, very rare thing. If I'm profitable on an option and I need to get out because I see something reversing and there's a large spread, I'll exit as long as I'm profitable, with regards to what the fill is. But that is something to keep in mind because, man, the pros and cons of waiting for a limit can cost you a lot of money as well. Didn't close below, updated. So it's one of those things. It's like a pros and cons. Like, what are you trying to accomplish with that spread? Or not spread, option. What are you trying to do with it? So, yeah, I'll only do a market if I just need to get out. Javier says, I do not understand why the spreads get wider. So an option, realistically, it just becomes volatility. So the volatility that's going to cause a spread to get wider. And the reason the volatility causes a spread to get wider, I mean, imagine you're in a McDonald's and you're trying to sell a hamburger to one person, or you're trying to sell a hamburger to 1,000 people. You know, it's like everyone's throwing numbers at you. So you're going to, you know, you have so many orders out there. The other reason that the bid-ask spreads are larger is also the market makers want to make more money in times of panic. So when people are just pressing market buy and sell, they get a lot more of the spread. You know, so as implied volatility and volatility in general go up on options, the spread does widen. It also will widen with less volume. So if you have a non-liquid stock, something like, I don't know, Dropbox or something, just something random, Etsy or whatever. If the option's not super liquid, you'll also have a little bit wider of a spread. Yeah, options, whoo, man, there's some pros and there's some cons with options without question. So anyway, Disney, that update's 97.84 now, and I will wait for a close or an unravel. So it's got a close blow there, and then I'm gonna make my decision that day. Overstock, OSTK. So you can't short the stock. At least I can't. Puts are option. Here's the weekly. It looks to me like Overstock is going to get a little bit hurt. So retest gap. So we will wait. If we're going to short it, let's wait on that. I had a bullish trade set up on it over here, an entry above that Morningstar, but it didn't trigger. Here's the support zone. So if you're looking at playing Overstock, I do think you could get a retest and then short the rollover. So wait for that pullback and then, yeah, short the dip or short the pullback. Apple has some weird news come out, I'm assuming. So here's the 5-minute. In the last 10 minutes, Apple just pummeled itself, going from 170 to 168. Huge move just in the last 10 minutes. Don't know what the news was. But it's not like we haven't seen that before. So giant upper shadow on Apple. It's still pretty sideways. There's no covered call premium for April. I bought back the 190s. So at this point, if I do anything with Apple, I'm going to start looking out there towards May. And I could do a May 200 covered call and get 33 cents, which really wouldn't be that bad. I don't think it gets all the way up to 200 by the end of May. Now, earnings is around the corner, and so is dividends. I'll say around the corner. It's about a month away. Apple's very sideways right now. It's stuck right in between the moving averages. It will do slightly what the market does. I really like this put sale that Kevin did at 145. That one looks nice, and we shall see. So definitely a giant upper shadow, as Rich was pointing out, for sure. Large upper shadow, kind of a double bottom type of pattern. So yeah, that 200, if it doesn't hold on the SPY or Apple and vice versa, then we probably do drop. So we'll see, but it's sitting there at 167 right now, and it's going to be a little bit market related, but right now it's very sideways. So Kevin, I like your put sale a lot. Mila says, is that a shooting star? Kind of. You could really classify that as a tombstone doji, believe it or not, is the technical name for that particular candle. Because it has no real body. It's it's a perfect doji candle, and it has a giant upper star, so it's a tombstone. A little more on the bearish side, yeah. My buddy JL says, when the SPY market tanks, volatility goes up on options. That's correct. Does playing market balance with calls on individual stocks a sound strategy, as volatility will drop as markets rebound? So that's, again, one of the pros and cons with options. Because yes, you can, and I certainly have, bought calls on a market drop. And as the stock went up, if it goes up slowly, you can lose money because the implied volatility is declining. I'm trying to think of the most recent example. I actually do think it was on Apple. Crazy as it thinks, I do believe it was right here. So I bought calls around there on Apple mid-November and sold them around there. And you'd think that would be a good gain, but it wasn't. Now, obviously, I could have kept holding, but my expiration was running out, had January. And then from here, it just traded sideways. I went back to look, and if I had held them there for another like 2-3 points higher, it would have been the exact same as when I sold them. So, because volatility was crazy town right here on Apple because of it just had earnings and just had dividends. So, yeah, if the stock moves quickly, the volatility should hold up. If it doesn't, it slows down. You can lose because of theta, and also the implied volatility is slowly dropping off. So that's why some people like to sell puts and do bull put spreads and things of that nature, because it captures that volatility and the selling of it. Yeah. So anyway, there's Apple. We looked at Delta already, I believe. Did we look at Delta? Pretty sure we did. Yep, we looked at Delta. So I haven't looked at Hawaiian Airlines, ticker symbol HA. And Hawaiian Airlines, again, I don't have any position on this one, but on a weekly chart, if you're looking at getting something long-term, this is a fun airline. I do believe they pay dividends now, pretty small local commuter airline, and looks great off the weekly. This would be one that if I lived in Hawaii, I'd probably own some shares. I don't, but if I did, can't be in everything. But I like that 200, and I think the risk reward on this one's pretty good, because you'd have a really interesting level here that you would kind of know that if it breaks that price, you know, it's not going to do very much. But this stock, when we were analyzing it back at $12, I mean, this thing, so we traded this channel back in 2014 together, and back at 12, I got the tip of my life that I didn't take, which has always happened. But me and Johnny Guarco, that's when I was in Hawaii back here. That black arrow, I was in Hawaii right there, my buddy Johnny, and he told me to buy as much as I could afford. And I was like, man, I'm pretty tapped out right now, which I was 2014, but should have listened, because it grew. But that's when I was, that's when I was starting real life trading, so I was kind of tapped out for cash. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Hawaiian Airlines. Richard says, when it gets out of this flag, it should shoot in a direction rapidly. Yep, it is definitely consolidating right now, for sure. So that's my thoughts on Hawaiian Airlines. Definitely a little bit of a longer-term play that my buddy Richard's mentioning. Here's Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, HPE. And Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, what drawing is this on the daily? Yep, I remember that setup. I missed that setup. So this one wouldn't have worked out that great anyway. Had a high wave candle, very similar to Lulu. It comes back about a week later, would have triggered, bounced, and you would have increased the stop to here and gotten trailed out for about an R. So if you're looking at playing HPE again, I believe it's trading down to the 50. Yep, there's the 50. So, you know, if it broke above 1785, you could buy a little. If it broke above 1820, you could buy a little bit more. If you bought some at the 20, if it doesn't break higher, right? You buy some at the 20, I'm sorry, at the 50, and then you buy a little bit more here at 17 and have a stop at like 15.60. I think that can make sense. Here's the weekly chart and just came right down to the 10. So if this trend holds up for you, if you're looking at playing Hawaiian Enterprise, I think it's a nice little spot. DLR. So we got DLR, Digital Realty Trust. Here's the weekly. Long-term moving average. I don't see much on this weekly for Digital Realty as far as like, I just see it retesting this 100. Looks a little on the weaker side. Looking at the daily though, again, this is a REIT and we all know what REITs do. Nice double bottom, close above the neckline. We did retest the neckline. All I would say on Digital Realty, I don't have any position on this one, but if I did, if Digital Realty broke $100 anytime soon, I would personally at least buy some protective puts so that I would sleep better at night on Digital Realty. And last but not least is Oracle, ORCL. Oracle Corporation, here's the weekly charts, and Oracle has pulled back to the 100 on a weekly. Here's the daily, and I kind of do think this gap fills a little bit on Oracle. The last one's a filled. My buddy Deepak mentioned a megaphone trading panel, which I almost never see, but that does look like one. This is a one white soldier, as are most stocks today, and this is a retest gap, and it's pretty low down there. I'm not going to personally play Oracle, but that's just because can't be in everything. I like it off the 100. If you're looking at playing it bullish down here, makes sense to me. Folks, go have yourselves a great weekend. What do you want to look at on Monday when we get back, which will be actually Tuesday, because Monday is Mentorship Monday. I'm going to go ahead and fill the books with what we're going to look at. I've already got a few notes for what we're going to chat about. So I'll see you Mentorship Monday. Have a great weekend, folks. You're amazing. If you guys need anything or have any questions, let me know. And until next time, love life, live life, and trade it. Love you guys. Bye.